What's happening, party people? I am back in Chicagoland. Left here Friday night while it was snowing like a snowstorm. Got into Michigan, hung out with my buddy Dan the Man. Left there a little bit after noon on Saturday. Got home Saturday evening. Spent the evening with my daughter. Got up Sunday morning after doing my laundry, taking care of something else on the vehicle, jumped in the car, went to my appointment on Sunday. I was like, why is this on a Sunday? The lady said, man, I like it on Sunday. Got back to the Chicago area, met up with Ron, took care of a few things on his car, mainly the timing belt, but we found a couple of other issues that we're probably going to finish taking care of today. So I'm in Chicago. It's going to be a long day. I will probably get home like midnightish is what I'm expecting because I got a doctor appointment tomorrow in Cincinnati. So let's get cracking. This day is going to be a long one. Spend some time looking over the wiring diagram for this horn situation, and it seems this horn has a J relay fuse panel near the firewall on the outside. So I'm going to swap that J relay out, see if this horn works after I put everything back together. And then I'm going to see what's going on with this gauge here, this AFR, and see what else I got going on. Though I got these Fender skirts, inner skirts. I need to dump the car, see if I can find my parts and tools in there. I'm looking for a jump box, I'm looking for a multimeter, and I'm looking for the rivets. So let me empty this car real quick, see if I can find that stuff in there. I got the battery tray in, I got the bolts in that SAS pump bracket, I got the intake pipe installed. I'm getting ready to put in the air box and the battery. I think I'm going to put the top of the air box off of my car onto this one to get rid of that tube right there. That's kind of evidence of an SAS system. And I'll plug that on mine, and I'll put another turbo top on mine without that SAS inlet. Get everything back together. Oops. I hate when that happens. No horn. I'm going to go check the relay out there. I've never been one to read wiring diagrams, but I believe this J relay right here is the relay for the horn. So let's switch it with this one, see if the horn works. And this fuse here controls it, but man, that fuse looks good. So let's go see if the horn works by switching that J relay. Still no horn. So we're going to check for power at that relay slot and ground at that relay slot. According to the wiring diagram, this front center pin here is 30. It should be hot. And these other two pins, 87. Man, is both of those 87? Yeah, both of those are 87. One should be hot when I turn the ignition on. Maybe both. So let me get my ohm meter out. The one to the driver's side, I think, is a ground. Driver's side is 86, and 85 should be, let me look at my image again. 85 to the passenger side center pin should be a ground. All right, I have power to 30 with the ignition on, but no power to 87 with the ignition on. And I do have a ground. Let me turn the ignition to the other position. And accessory 1, I don't have power to 87 either. So I got a problem getting power from the ignition switch out here. Let me check the ignition switch wires, make sure none of those are broken. And I covered that back up. Let me pull that back off. So the horn is X right here, and power should be coming hot into number 30, which I believe is here. So here's 30, here's X. So let me check that for power. Let me see which one of these are ground. I did get power on 30, so I'm gonna jump 30 over to X and try the horn. I jumped this right horn and I got it to toot, but when I spliced in a positive, I couldn't get it to do anything. Then I tried to get this driver's side horn, the left one, to blow. Couldn't get it to blow. Spliced in the wires down there, still couldn't get it to blow. Cut the harness off, hooked it right up to my jump box, couldn't get it to blow. Plugged it into my car's harness, into one of my horns, it blew. So somehow this car blew both horns. Doesn't do nothing with the ignition off. Blows with the ignition in 1. Blows with the ignition in 2. Amazing. 2 blown horns all this time. Only thing I have left is to see why this AFR gauge is not working. So I got another gauge with me. I'm going to swap the gauge out to see if it works. If that didn't work, I'm going to swap a harness out, see if it works, and just troubleshoot it that way. Man, this screw is way out on this door harness. I wonder if somebody's had this door disconnected. Huh. Let me tighten that up. And the gauge is working so far. When I just swapped in there, we'll see if it peaks out after it goes through the heat cycle. If that didn't work, we'll do the sensor. See if something's wrong with the sensor. And there it is, it peaked out. My AEM AFR gauge is not working. It peaks out after it goes through the heat cycle. So I need to find out what's going on with it. Heat, it's doing the run up on it. And when it gets to that, it just peaks out at 20. So we're troubleshooting that. I just swapped out the indicator, the gauge itself. That didn't help. I'm gonna do the sensor next. I got the sensor replaced, plugged in. When we start the car, we'll see how that ends up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these wheels, replace these wheel skirts, and we should be ready for a test drive. We want to test the cruise, test the AC, test the defrost. This car should be ready to go. Let's go ahead and pull these wheels. These wheel skirts are getting eaten up in here, and the inspection place says that's unsafe. It's an indication that the alignment's off, so they wrote it up. So we're going to replace these. I don't know why that thing is rubbing in there. These are stock tires, and I don't see no evidence of rubbing on these tires, so it probably rubbed with some other tires on there. So let's go ahead and replace these wheel liners, these inner fender liners. Went to Ace Hardware today and got these Shore Bonder aluminum rivets. Don't get them. While I'm using my tool on them, the stem breaks. Instead of breaking up there, it's breaking halfway down in my tool, and it's leaving that much. What am I supposed to do with that? I had to cut that off and try not to leave enough that'll cut somebody. So I got to cut them off, then file them down. So that's way more work than it's worth, so don't buy these. I'm gonna go ahead and torque these wheels. The last person that put this wheel on probably did not torque it. Those things were pretty loose. After that, I'm gonna clean up my mess, put this interior stuff back in, take it for a test drive. I'm gonna service the AC, see if this Ah, look like we might be working. Had to replace the sensor. I'm curious as to why this thing's smoking. It's not dripping gas out of it, that's good. Was low on the coolant a little bit. The AFR is holding steady. I got to test drive it to see if the cruise works. I'm trying to service the air. It is smoking though. PCV seems to be connected properly. And here we go for our test drive. We got a decent reading on our AFR. And let's take it for a spin. No brake warning lights. And we're going to see if the cruise works. That's another big desire for this vehicle. Man, this engine is laying on the subframe. This ABS light's gonna go out. We hit 20. Nope, hasn't gone out yet. That's not good. Gotta see what's going on with that. As you've seen in this video, man, I finally got that horn going. It was weird that I was able to get that horn to toot, but it was the horns. I took one off my car, put it on their car, got that situation. I went through a lot just to find out. I don't know how a horn goes bad. I don't know if I've ever heard of that before. 2 horns, not one. Both of them was bad. Anyway, I got that taken care of. Got several other things taken care of for them. I did get the cruise working. The cruise worked. I tested it like 4 or 5 times. I couldn't get rid of the ABS light for a while. I finally reset the connection on the right front sensor because that's what the code said. You know, follow the codes, man. If you don't have a code reader that can read the ABS codes and monitor that system, I pulled my scanner up, my launch scanner, had it hooked up to the car. While I was driving, I could see all 4 wheels was indicating the same speed movement. So I knew the sensor was working. I knew the module was working. I just didn't get rid of that ABS light, and it kept telling me right front sensor. So I unplugged it, plugged it back in, gave it a little bit of a better connection, I guess, and it finally went off. So they were good to go when I left there. That was a long 2 days. I got halfway across Virginia, West Virginia, stayed at night in a hotel that one of my viewers sponsored me with, and then got home the next morning. And you know, just taking it one day at a time. So hey, I appreciate you watching. If you need to contact me, leave me a message here. If you want to conduct business, you need to call or text me. I'm going home. I'll be home for 2 days. Then I got a flight going to South Texas to meet my lady friend. And then I'm going on to Vegas, pick up Panther, and try to continue that journey there. So that's where I'm at. I appreciate your support. Appreciate you watching. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week. Catch you later.